Okay, thanks to everyone here who has stayed until the end. We really appreciate it. This is going to conclude KMC 2019. We've been very, very honored to have everyone in attendance from in Japan and overseas, and we want to thank you for staying until the end. This is the final session of KMC for this year, the panel discussion of developing your brand. And my name is Alex. I'm going to moderate the session today. We're very fortunate to have with us some distinguished guests. I'll ask you to introduce yourselves in just a moment. This discussion, since our audience is English speakers, will be mostly in English with some translation and interpretation for Sanjyo-san here. So maybe just to start with introducing myself. I've been involved with KMC since 2011. That was the third KMC. And personally, it's led to some very interesting opportunities for me. But I now work in the corporate event world, selling artistic performances to clients, both international and domestic here in Japan. So I've learned quite a lot about the importance of branding and of promotion and PR. And it's an interesting world that I'm sure we'll learn a lot about today. So let's introduce our panelists.
Konnichiwa, hello. My name is Sharna. I am a singer from the UK. I am one part of the band member He Knows She Knows. My fiance is the other member. We run a company in the UK called Pacewell Entertainment. We are both directors of that as well. We run the record label over there. We basically tour the whole of the UK full time. So that's what we do pretty much here.
I am Duane Levi, and aside from starting KMC, I run my own booking and PA company, Shalstone Music. We book both musicians in Japan and overseas for tours, and have been doing that since 2006.
英語喋れないんですいません。My name is Masanori Sanjyo. 僕の仕事は、音楽学校の経営、
Runs a music school.
レコード会社の経営、
Also a record company.
あと音楽著作権の管理をする会社。
And also a company which manages music copyrights.
あと新しく、新人を開発してデビューさせる仕事。
He also finds new artists and promote them.
歌も歌ってます。
He sings himself too.
はい、今日はよろしくお願いします。OK。
Oh, I'm Junior, and I'm a translator. And I've been involved with KMC since the very first time, arguably. But seriously, I've been translating, and I also happen to be a drummer myself, and utilizing my background, I'm trying to help out non-English-speaking people as much as possible.
So that's today's panelists, and we're going to be very welcoming to questions. We want this to be a collaborative discussion for everyone. We've all introduced ourselves, but our experience certainly doesn't end there. There's a lot of experience between all of us. We've all worked in various types of international events, and we have a lot to say about the entertainment business and industry and independent music and touring, so far beyond what we've just introduced. So, today's discussion is going to be a bit free-form. We're centering on three basic questions that we've discussed in advance. So maybe we'll just jump right into that. So first thing, we talk about branding. What would you say are the best marketing strategies, and maybe why this is necessary? So in your own personal experience, for you to have the opportunities that you have had, in concrete examples, what has been successful for you in terms of marketing strategy? How do you draw those connections?
For us, we took the opportunity to go on to a TV show, and luckily from that TV show, it's actually quite hard to get airtime, so you can go through many audition processes and actually not get anywhere at all. Luckily for us, we managed to get the 3 minutes of airtime that we actually needed to change our life totally, which was kind of the aim. It was the aim of we knew we weren't going to win the show. We knew if we got these minutes that we wanted, that things could really change. And we always had that in the back of the mind. So when we approached this, we obviously went in with the red hair. My partner's obviously quite, he stands out with his dreadlocks as well. And it was one of the things that, how do I explain? When we first walked through the door, we thought of the brand before the music. We wanted to be recognised for us before the music. So when we actually managed to get a hold of those 3 minutes of airtime and we seen us on the TV, life changed, and we took that kind of opportunity to really kind of change things from there. We went to different record labels, and because we had those 2-3 minutes of airtime, we were able to say we are now He Knows She Knows from the X Factor or from ITV, and people just listened. It gave us a different platform. There's different platforms in the UK where you can kind of do small, medium, large, and it kind of, because we were clever enough with the branding of the actual duo, people just kind of paid more attention, and gave us a good opportunity. Since I was able to quit my job and become a full-time singer, so I would say that was quite interesting.
Maybe just to distill what you said, it sounds like you're talking about having a way that you talk about yourselves decided in advance, and then using that self-branding or self-labeling to your own advantage.
Yeah, of
By
course.
putting yourself in that context.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to totally forget about the music, and it sounds weird, but you actually, we have a very significant logo for our band, and we now know that because that logo is everywhere in the UK, people see that logo and now know that means He Knows She Knows the band. So that's one of the things that I would say, make sure you always have good representation in terms of any kind of literature that goes out. Make sure it always is branded with your logo, because it's visual. You see the WhatsApp sign, you see the Facebook sign, and you know what it is before. You don't have to say, oh, it's Facebook, oh, it's McDonald's. You see the M, you know it's McDonald's. And it's kind of what you have to do in the music industry. You have to, I say, it sounds silly, but forgetting the music and thinking about, the visual side of things, it can actually really help you in terms of development.
Maybe Sanjyo-san, you could respond to this. And when you're developing artists for the Japanese market or anywhere, how do you think about their branding? And maybe in response to what Sharna has just said, understanding the context or the frame in which maybe potential clients or potential sponsors or supporters might be looking at the artist or thinking about the artist.
ショーナさんの場合はそのテレビショーとかでその3分間のオーディションのタイムをもう得れさえすれば、それさえ得たらもうあとは私たち成功するんだっていうぐらい確信があったらしいんですけど、その3分のため3分はもう音楽よりもまず自分のブランドっていうのを先に持っておくっていう意味で、その例えばロゴを、今ヒーローシーローっていうバンドなんですけど、今だったらそのロゴを見たらぜひそのブランドで
Same on the plane, everything. Then we had it in Arabic and Japanese and English, the same video 3 times. can tell what it says by the video, mate. It's alright. Show the video. Forget the words.
クライアント、スポンサーとか、そういうのがここにいる場で、オーディションで、そういう場で、どういう感じのブランディングっていうのを意識して臨んでいったら、ほぼほぼ
ディフか。難しいですね、それね。
I was trying to do that at the time.
出演者として。
いや、
マネージャーも
そうですね、そうですね。
どういうふうにそのブランディングを事前に考えて、そしてアーティストに把握させるんですか。で、それで主催者とクライアントを分かってもらうためには何がどういう必要性がある。最初の考えはどちら？
ディフか。
アピールされる方の立場として。
まあ簡単に言うと、一番大事なのは多分人としてどうなの？ブランディングの前に。
What's important is how you can present yourself as a person. What's your personality?
約束守れるの？時間守れるの
？Are you a punctual person? Are you true to your promises, appointments?
思いやり持ってるの？
Are you considerate, kind?
人のために頑張れる？
Can you work for others?
そういうのがその人の言葉や動きに出ちゃうんです。
That kind of personality aspects kind of show in your behavior, how you move, how you talk, how you respond.
まずそれを日本人もできてないんですけど、
Japanese people certainly can't do that.
それができた上かなっていう。
But it's basically that's the basis.
そこを一番見られてると思います。で、あとは、キャラクターだと思うんですけど、
Then comes the character factor.
スカウトの人がまず最初に見るところは、
What we look for first is
清潔感。
cleanliness,
特に男性をスカウトするときは清潔感。
especially males. Be clean.
はい。だからどういうブランディング、キャラクターを作るにしても清潔感は絶対大事っていうのを分
No
かって
matter
お
what
い
kind
て
of brand you are trying to establish, it's really
やることが大
important
事じゃ
to
ない
be
のか。
clean.
はい。
それは広いですか？体の見た目
You mean not swearing?
What do you mean by
Does he
clean?
mean not swearing?
あ、
Or have a wash?
ブランディングの見せ方
Not necessarily
ビデオが綺麗なのか。
Like,
あ、まあ
for me,
So
it's
question,
got
follow-up
brush
question.
and tidy.
What do you mean when you
Yeah.
say clean?
Yeah.
Is it just like physically clean, like
Do
you
you
smell?
mean
Or is
clean?
it
Like
is it
something that
beyond
was state of mind clean?
Is it like a brand thing, state of mind? Yeah. Or is it like do you have
Well,
beautiful videos? What is
Ba-
it?
The mystery.
For Japan,
basically in Japan, everything is image. You've seen the plastic food in the windows. If there's a restaurant that doesn't have plastic food, and there's another restaurant that does have plastic food, the one with the plastic food is gonna win. So it's packaging overall image. So uniform でしょ？ユニフォームのないバンドとユニフォームがあるバンド、ユニフォームがあるバンドの方がいい。おそらく。
難しい。
So,
Difficult.
and that's why you'll see like a lot of Japanese groups.
Yes and no.
They're all wearing the same uniform. The ones that they get them and they package them, they put them in a uniform.
Yes. 料理、フード、ディッシュ、ぐちゃぐちゃ。
そうそうそ
チープフード、チープフード。
う。何でも何でも言える。
綺麗に。
そうそう、綺麗なお皿で 綺麗に盛り付けしたら、おおいいな。
Yeah, cheap food arranged nicely on the dish. Looking good.
And you can sell that for a lot of money.
とまあ極端ですけど、人としてあこの人お風呂入ってんのかなとかなんか育ち悪そうだなみたいな、だから育ちいい悪にかかわらず、立ち姿がすごく綺麗とか、動きがすごく綺麗とあこの人ってお金持ちの子供かなとか、育ちがいいのかなとか思われる、だから一般に、庶民の子供でもあこの人ちゃんと育ってきたんだなっていう、いい親が育てたんだなって思わす人のことですね、清潔感があるっていうのは、はい。
For those who didn't understand it,
That's everyone. Please.
sorry. First of all, is this person I'm looking at the kind of person who would regularly take a bath, for example? Does he perhaps come from a bad neighborhood? Things like that can really show through the person's posture, attitude, general demeanor. So the kind of potential artist that can convince him as coming from a good, if not necessarily a good neighborhood, if you look like you were raised well, then that's the kind of cleanliness he's looking for.
Do people judge you on your appearance in that way? So that's an interesting question. I want to ask Sharna about your experience in the UK as well, but maybe for Sanjyo-san and for Duane, about your experience in Japan. Do you find that people really will judge you? So if they think that maybe you're a more clean person, or you're from a better neighborhood, or maybe you grew up with money, does that mean that you're more deserving or entitled? それで清潔感を感じてもらえたら、もっとチャンスを与えるべきと思われますか？
清潔感を感じて、誠意と礼儀があれば次も仕事あげようかなと思う人が多いと思います。それは内容が多少悪くてもこの人だったら次もっと頑張ってくれるなと思ってくれると思います。
About the question, does cleanliness get you entitled to opportunity? Yes, if you can convince someone like Sanjyo-san to be a person who is clean, maybe loyal, courteous, polite, then that will make him think that if not this time, maybe I will give this guy a next chance.
So,
Do you find that it's similar in the UK?
In the UK, I mean, I think it's maybe slightly different, where maybe not as judged on the cleanliness side. However, it is something that naturally, if you want to progress far in this industry, it is advised, obviously. I would say in the UK, maybe there's more places where, how can I describe it? Maybe not so good. The area that you come from isn't the best, but it actually makes good music. You know, it can. So we can't say no. You know, we can't have good music just because you're from a bad area. I'm not from the best of areas myself, but I chose to make the decision to correct those wrongs. Get me in the right place. Get me in front of the correct people. Always be courteous. Always be humble. One of the things that we strive for hugely back in the UK is just to be nice. You have to just be nice. It's nice to be nice. It's so easy to be nice.
Nice to be important,
We can have the term
but important
diva.
to be nice.
I don't know if you ever heard the term diva.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this. I'm not singing this song. Ooh. You're a singer. You know, you go on the stage, you perform, and you entertain the people. That's what your job is. There's been times where we've been really poorly, and the show would never know. You know, there is times where you have to kind of just kind of go with the flow almost. You have to do that. So yeah, I would say that UK is maybe slightly different in terms of backgrounds and whatnot.
You can be a mess in the UK.
You can, yeah.
They strive on that, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of thrive on the fact that sometimes people maybe are from a bad area and try and pull out their experience to create really good music. And like I say, it can create really good music just because you hear people's stories and you hear people's, you hear their emotion through their music because of their background, because of their upbringing. So maybe in the UK it's slightly different there, but it is hard work. It is hard work. You do get judged. You do get judged a lot. So it's
You have to keep up that image.
yeah, it's
I
constant
think
job.
maybe that's something that Sanjyo-san was speaking to earlier, is that you have to build and build and build this image and then maintain it. As Duane said, image is so important in Japan. What do you mean by that, Duane, when you say image is so important in Japan?
Well, so I started my company, Shalstone Music, in 1993. And before I started, I thought about the name. I wanted a name that was unique and didn't exist anywhere. So for those of you who know the cartoon The Flintstones, my company name actually came from Sam Shale and Fred Flintstone, and I put it together. But I created that name because shale rock is a high quality rock. It's one of the higher expensive qualities, and I wanted my company to represent everything that I did was quality. And in looking at that, similar to what Sharna said, is that you have to think about the image, the product that you're going to put out, and you have to keep that level regardless of what you're doing. And that goes along with, I think the translation of what they were saying is clean is not exactly correct. It could be looking nice and quality, because quality is extremely important. All of the brand names that you see, McDonald's and so on and so forth, they're big because they have consistent quality. If you have a customer that goes in and they're like, oh, this wasn't good, they apologize, they're supposed to apologize, and make it right. So as a musician, when you go out, understand what it is that people like about you, your music, and you give that to them. You don't have to give them the same thing every time. You don't have to do that. In fact, that's boring. But if you give them something new, it should be the same level of quality as the other stuff that they're used to. And it's like, I remember, for example, Metallica. I was a huge fan of Metallica. The Black Album came out. For me, that was not quality. Violins and other stuff, and they started having violin orchestra under the stage. That's not the same thing. And so and that's where the phrase "sold to sell out" comes from. So when you're looking at your career and your music, make sure that when you put it out, a live show or recorded music, there is consistency, quality and consistency across the board. So,
just to go back to the original question, would you say those are your most successful marketing strategies?
Indeed. As I've heard from both he knows, she knows, and Pietro, and many musicians, I occasionally send an email out and ask people around the world to search the words musician touring Japan. Shalestone Music is always the first. Around the world. Why? Because when a musician comes and tours, they go back and they say Shalestone Music is a quality company. Please use it. And so I've been able to build a quality reputation that is completely sustainable. I've maintained a certain standard.
So I think that's a very important insight, and maybe as we close out this question and move on to the next topic, I want to bring it back to Sanjyo-san in terms of marketing strategy. And before we go to number two, marketing strategy. So we've heard strategies from the other panelists. There's the artist's image, but there's also your own image. that you have to build and maintain. So, in maybe specific examples, what are some of the best marketing strategies that have helped you in your brand?
でまあ、先ほどはその三条さんが雇う側の場合なんですけど、今度三条さん自身の成功の、はい、三条さん自身のブランドを
いろんな会社をやってるんですけども、その中でレーベルっていう分野に限定します。
He actually happens to run many companies, like he was introducing himself first, but he will concentrate on talking about his label company.
僕はインディーズレーベルを持ってるんですけども、
He's got an indies label.
インデペンデントレーベル、協議会っていう日本にインデペンデントレーベル協議会っていうのがあります。その中に加入してます。
How does it trend? There's actually a indies label association. His own company is part of that association.
そういうのがあります。で、僕がプロデュースした、歌って踊る女の子ですけども、
He happened to produce this girl who sings and dances.
スカイパーフェクト TV わかりますかね、
She got on Sky Perfect
の
TV.
中で毎月ベスト5とか10が選ばれます、プロモーションビデオの
And there's a ranking of 1 to 10 every week for promotional videos on Sky Perfect TV.
それはほぼ全部メジャーレーベルの出したミュージックビデオです。
And those music videos are almost always artists by major labels.
その中に、インディーズただ一つうちのが入りました。
But his own
6位でした。
but his own artist who he promoted from an indies label made it into the ranking on Sky Perfect TV.
基本的にメジャーレーベルじゃないとダメみたいな感じの番組です。
Once again, it strictly seems like if you're not from a major label, then you're out. But still, he made it in.
じゃあなんでそこに入れたのかっていうと、
How he did it was
僕がCD をレコーディングしてミックスタウン終わった段階で同じような歌手の CD と必ず聴き比べます。
every time he finishes recording a CD, he compares the outcome with works of other artists that are more or less similar.
メジャーレーベルのベスト1、2、3と聴き比べます。
He would tend to compare his work with the first to third artists from major labels.
プロモーションビデオに関してもベスト5ぐらいの中に入っているのと仕上げを比べます。
As for promotional videos too, he would compare his work against the first to fifth from major label artists' promotional videos.
そういう作業をすることによって、自分の競争相手がメジャーレーベルの一流なんだという対する意識を持つ。
By doing so, he keeps himself, or he allows his artist to keep herself conscious as potentially being part of that major label ranking.
なので、録音の音質が悪いようなやついっぱい出てますけど、それと比べて満足するんじゃなくて、最高と絶えず勝負する気持ちでやってる。
So as you would realize, there's a whole lot of works that are not nearly as good sound quality wise, but rather than stooping, rather than trying to be happy with that kind of quality, you try to strive to be part of the among major label artists, quality wise.
気持ち的には、車に CD を入れる、ずっとかけてもう大丈夫な CD、そして、メジャーレーベルの聴いた後に、出してうちの CD を入れた時にガフってならないレベルにちゃんとする。
Well, suppose you're driving and you've been playing CDs in the car, and the moment you play the CD of your own artist, do you get disappointed? Then that's not the point. You want your artist to sound as good as the other music that's been playing in your car.
そこでもう一つこのビデオの方は、負けないためにどうするか考えました。メジャーレベルはすごくお金かけてます。勝てるわけがない基本的に。
As for videos, the game is really hard because major labels can spend a lot of money in making their great videos.
そこで、とにかくインターネットを活用して、とにかくいい人、いいもの、いいスタジオを探す、安くていいものを探すっていう作業をずっとやってきました。
So he looked things like good studios, good facilities, good people on the internet.
そして浜崎あゆみ、do you know? 浜崎あゆみ。
I'm sure you know of the artist.
EXILE,
Exile.
do you know? の照明をやってる人をネットで見つけました。
He happened to locate this lighting staff who does Hamasaki Ayumi and Exile, those kind of artists, major artists.
で、その人に電話をしました。
He called him up.
で、あなたはいつも照明を当ててるけど、こう撮ってほしいからこう照明を当ててんのにカメラマンがその意味を分かってくれてないっていう経験はないですかって聞きました。
And he asked the lighting guy a question. Haven't you ever found yourself in a situation where you are doing your lighting work the best you can, and yet the camera person is not quite working up to your own standard? Does the camera person really understand the intent behind your own lighting efforts? Haven't you ever been in a situation like this?
はい。だったら経験がないっていうんで、じゃああなたがこう撮ってほしいんだけどなっていう照明を当ててるのをリアルにあなたが再現しませんかっていう話をしました。あなたがカメラを回しませんか。あなたが照明を当てて、あなたがカメラを回して、自分がこう撮ってほしいんだけどなっていうのを現実にしてみませんかっていう話をしました。ほとんどのカメラマンは自分が照明を当てて、こう撮ってほしいからこう照明を当ててるんだけどなと思ってるんだけど、どうも違う感じに撮られる。自分の思ったようにまた照明当てさせてくれない。あなたの思った通りに照明を当てて、あなたが思った映像を作ってみませんかって聞きました。
The person on the other end of the line said, well, no. But Sanjyo-san kept on asking, then wouldn't you like to try being your own camera person while doing your lighting routines? So you're the lighting person providing lighting to the artist in the video that's being filmed, but you can also be your own camera person to try and see the effects of your own lighting to see how it's working.
Hi.
It sounds like maybe to synthesize what you're saying is the the camera person and the lighting person didn't have the same level of experience, maybe. So even being told the way something is, didn't understand how that was connected to the reality of needing to film that scene. That was my understanding of that anecdote.
Well, I think not so much the level of experience, but I think what he's saying is that basically, in order to get the same quality at a cheaper rate, you contact the lighting guy and say, look, lighting guy, the camera guy doesn't always see things the same way you do. How about coming over here and doing both, and you can get exactly what you want, and you can have a finished product that looks just the same. So he gets a quality product at a cheaper price. The lighting/camera guy gets an opportunity to produce something, film his own lighting, and everyone's happy.
But to have the thought that you can do something like that requires the experience to know that everything is.
Exactly.
I would also say, no matter how small or big the production actually is, always do a storyboard. Always know exactly what it is that you are trying to achieve at the very end, because sometimes you could go and want to, say, shoot in front of the sunset, and you get one opportunity to get that sunset. So you have to make sure that you know exactly, storyboarding. We would always, if we were to have a music video or some kind of vlog, that we would have absolutely have a storyboard or a director's meeting where we would sit down and basically discuss exactly what it is that we want from the outcome, because there's so many everyone has a different opinion. So if I say, oh, I like this shot from this angle, the guy behind the camera could totally disagree and go with his own opinion. So like what they were saying, if you actually have a good solid meeting beforehand and a good storyboard, just touching on something that was mentioned earlier as well about getting kind of other people's opinions on your music and playing it in the car. It's something that we do quite a lot, if I'm honest. If we have a finished album or something, we would put it in the car and have a listen to it. One thing I would say is try to listen to professional opinions. If you go, oh, friend, family, do you like this? They're going to go, yes. It's really good, I like this. But in the same respect, that's your friends, that's your family. There is always room for improvement. There is always room for criticism. Doesn't mean it's bad, it just means there's room for growth. That's all that is. It's simple, it's really simple. But if
I think, this is great stuff, and I think the conversation's getting a little bit cerebral at this point. But no, that's a good thing, but I want to make sure we're grounded in real world concrete conversations that we can actually use. So this is fantastic conversation, it's fantastic advice, but I think it's a good way to lead into our second overall topic, and that is how musicians market themselves. So we talked in advance before this discussion about musicians specifically in Japan, but I think this is something universal really, about marketing yourself. And maybe some musicians are thinking that it's not really necessary, or someone else will take care of it, or I'm only doing it for the art. I'm not concerned about marketing. But the question is, what is the key to marketing? And I think also tied into that, why do musicians themselves need to be aware of this? So we're leading into question number 2.
So I'll start with that, somewhat tying into what I said before, but I think first, before you decide to market yourself, you need to know who you're marketing to. So if you're going to go up and sing a song in front of some kids, you need to know what the kids want. If you're going to go and sing the same songs in front of a group of drunk or drinking salary guys, business guys, you have to know how to sing it to them. And so knowing your market, understanding what your audience wants from you is in regarding to a live performance or in regards to recorded. It's extremely important. Understanding exactly what they want and how to give it to them, I think, is the key.
I would also say that, I think you touched on this earlier, promo video, it's just vital. You have to think that if these people don't know you, why are they going to click? Why would they want to click? Do you know what I mean? So if you have a good looking promo with good captions, and we call it clickbait in the UK, where it's a little bit of a trick, you know, we'll say #1 touring urban duo, because we are. But that means people go, oh, #1, oh, we want to see who this is, so they'll click on it. It's not tricking the system, but it's just using the system. It's there to be used. The way that it even looks, so thumbnails. If you have an attractive picture, not necessarily saying a pretty looking person, but just, you know, if you've got a full video and you just upload that video's going to get uploaded, and whatever can be on the front cover. You can choose your thumbnail to the best part of that video, and then there's a whole different outlook, because what you actually have is someone looking at just a photo, just a caption, and before they've even known your music, they're intrigued. That's a tick in the box.
I'll add something to that. I work mostly with corporate clients, international, overseas, and whether it's a company's gala dinner party or an awards ceremony or a public festival, everybody wants the same thing, and that's to know in advance what they're getting. It's like anywhere else. You know, you go to McDonald's and they have pictures of what the food looks like, and when you order it, it should look something like that. That's why you have the plastic food in Japan, so you know what you're getting in advance. You see photos of it in advance. You look on Google, you say, oh, this is what they have. It's the same thing if you're trying to sell music or an artistic performance. You have to show people in advance what they're getting. If I'm selling a performance by a dance company to an international festival, I send them a link to the entire show in advance, so they can see this is what we would be getting for our money. If you're selling your music, it's not just having a beautifully produced music video, but having good video of what your actual live show looks like. If you want to have someone pay for your live show, show them what they're getting in advance. And that's not somebody's shaky camera in the back of the room with screaming all around. No, you just get a good video. It's actually not that hard. You can get an iPhone. You can just film the show. Not the whole thing, just enough to know what people are getting. And that is so, so, so important if you want to expand on those opportunities. No matter what your art is, you have to show people what they're getting in advance. Sanjyo-san, you want to add something?
今もう話題変わっちゃってるんですけども、さっきのちょっと続きだけ話すると、
Aren't you interested in the outcome of that lighting person?
We'll go back there.
照明さんが俺カメラできないから日本のすごくいい CM を撮ってる資生堂とか化粧品のメーカーの CM を撮ってるカメラマンを連れてくるって言ったんですね。
Well, the lighting guys ended up saying, well, I can't be a camera person, but I know of a professional camera person who does CMs for major cosmetic companies.
で自分がコマを起こして、要は監督じゃあ俺が監督するって言ったんです。いや違う、その照明さんが。
But the lighting guy said, well, he can't be a camera person, but he can like draw cartoon, like a like animation sketch. And if he can't be a camera person, this lighting guy, he can be a director for the whole scene video.
その照明さんは上にプロデューサーディレクターとかがいて使われてたんでストレス溜まってた。
The lighting guy was always on the higher end. He was always being bossed around by people upstairs, so he was stressed out by the time.
で自分の自由にさせてくれるって言ったんでただでいいって言ったの。
So if he could run his own plan, he could do it for free.
で、EXILE の海外撮影中に飛行機自分でお金払って日本に帰ってきてで撮ってくれた。
So even while he had other jobs with artists like EXILE, he came back to Japan on his own to do this work for Sanjyo-san.
なんで、レンタルの機材代だけで済んだっていう撮影が。
So that means he only had to pay for the equipment and not for the person.
だから世の中にはやりたいことできるんだったらお金いらないっていう人もいると。
So this evidence is an instance where there are people in the world who are so stressed that if they have a chance to do things, projects on his own, then they can even do it for free for you.
でこの人は世界の黒沢っていう監督さんがいて、そのすごい映画の監督さんがいて、その人の映画の照明やってた人だったんですね。後で分かったんです。
He's not just nobody, but if you know of the very famous movie director Kurosawa, he was working with him, Kurosawa.
その人が撮ってくれたんで、インディーズの、プロモーションビデオが、ベスト5に入っちゃったっていう。
So as a result, someone who is so good as a lighting person did his job. This fact got him into the ranking of major artists.
I think that speaks to knowing what quality is.
まあこれティの話ですね。
So that concludes his episode about quality regarding the first subject. But now we are into subject number 2. Oh, my life is busy. Talk of stress.
ほんで、
マーケティングです。はい。
ね、
はい。これも今言った話です。日本人ってね、やっぱり情に弱いんです。ただでもいいって人いるんです。で、今僕がプロデュースしてる子が今たくさんヒットしてきてます。もう有名人いっぱいいます。そのなんで有名になったかっていう中のことで、京セラドームわかります？京セラドーム。野球、大阪。
Sure you know Kyocera Dome?
その
Arena venue?
その外に、ちっちゃなステージがあって、そこであんたの教えてる子歌わしませんかっていう話で、ただですよって言われて、それにどんどん参加しました。
There's a smaller stage around the big arena, Kyocera Dome in Osaka, and he had an event on the smaller stage where he would invite the artist he was producing to have a singing experience.
お金はもらえないけど宣伝はしてくれます。
The artist would make no money for the performance, but she would get the promotion.
そしたら今度は2軍の試合だけど君が代を歌いますかと試合の前に国歌を歌いますかという依頼が来ました。
Then he got an offer for the artist to sing the national anthem of Japan.
それはアリーナの中ですか？
2軍の試合、野球場、2軍の試合なんで、京セラじゃないです。はい、前島にあるんですけど、
その京セラ外側のステージでもない。
はい。
This singing job for the national anthem was not even at the arena itself or the smallest stage, but no, not even at the second stage, but in different.
で、それも嫌がらずにタダでやると、今度、京セラドームで歌いませんかと。
Okay. And his idea was not to decline this job offer for just the national anthem at a different location away from Kyocera Dome or the smaller stage. So the artist took the job. And this turn of events in turn got the artist a job at the Kyocera Dome itself later on.
その結果、京セラドームで国歌を歌ったという自分の経歴が評価されるようになりました。そしてメジャーレベルから声がかかって、デビューできました。
Now she's got a history. Now she's got a career that she sang the national anthem at not just nowhere, but at the Kyocera Dome, and this gave her a chance for even bigger promotion.
これはお金が動かず人情だけで動いた結果です。
And this is an instance which was not motivated by money, but by emotions.
で、僕の最近の成功でほとんどお金が動かず人情で人と人の心が触れ合ってだんだん上に上がっていくっていう、これがもうほとんどです。
Or rather, human relations. Let's say. He's been involved in other instances as well, where the key was not money, but human relations like this.
Absolutely. That's something that I definitely see as well, is those connections. And a lot of people may say never work for free, but sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. Maybe this gig I'm not getting money right now, but what does this lead to for me? So singing on this small stage for free leads to singing on a larger stage for free, which leads to singing on the largest stage still for free, but now I said I sang on that largest stage, so the labels pay attention. That's now part of my experience, and now the jobs come in. This was like an artist that I produced on America's Got Talent last year. I was with a Japanese artist, producing him on several stages of America's Got Talent. He barely got any money out of it. I got nothing but resistance from the company I was working for, but I pushed through because I thought it was bigger than that. And then the offers started coming in. High-paying jobs overseas. I went to Shanghai with him later. I went to Washington with him later. I went to Florida with him. I booked him on a circus tour. He's a juggling artist. And it's because of looking at the bigger picture. I think that's a really, really important lesson.
Definitely. I would say that we would say back at home, persistence beats resistance. Have you heard of that saying before?
That's a good one.
You just have to keep going. We actually had this experience at home where there's a huge festival, and we really wanted that one slot. All we wanted was that one slot, so we can get things like good footage and obviously make connections with people. And we really knew that if we were being honest with ourselves, we couldn't be big-headed and go, yeah, we deserve to be on that main stage straight away, because you have to do the legwork. So we done a free gig for the youth prom. So we done like a youth prom first, where we literally done, I think we were in the corner with about 6 people in the room, maybe even less. I think there might have been 4 people in the audience. But they asked us and they said, look, there isn't much of a budget this time and etc. And we were like, look, that's absolutely fine. We are here to help you as much, we're here to help each other. The next year we got invited to their hotel, so it was a little bit of a nicer environment. But then year 3 we got on the main stage of Pride and we performed to a huge festival with absolutely thousands in the audience and managed to gain some now contacts that we have on a regular basis. We really do, and they'll share our things when we post them on social media and stuff. So the connections that are made in the very beginning, persistence beats resistance. If we kind of went in the door and went, I want to go on main stage, and they said no, I went, oh, okay, no problem. What is it that you can do to get yourself in front of these people to maybe alter your
perception?
You have to alter your perception a little bit, just kind of not expecting money or not expecting big crowds or not expecting the world at first. It will come. If you literally just keep going and, like I say, just be a little bit flexible with the rules a little bit, because you want to get paid as a musician. You want the big crowds and you want that good footage, but you have to put in the legwork. You have to put in that legwork at the very beginning. Do things for free and kind of, I almost say nod and agree. Yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. And just kind of have a nice, friendly vibe, because then they feel like they can approach you. Whether they have a huge budget, little budget, they will remember. And then when they have the big things, they feel like you are more deserving at that point.
Yeah, I think that is so important, and I'm sure that many people who are here listening with us today have had similar experiences. I think maybe Sanjyo-san wanted to add something. We do have to go to the third topic, so maybe briefly.
Yeah. ただでやるっていうのはプロとしてちょっと嫌なことなんですけど、でもちゃんと分かってくれる、こっち側が一生懸命やってるってことを分かってくれてる人ってなんか返そうとしてくれるんですね。だからそういう人とのみ付き合うのがいいと思います。
Regarding the don't do things free principle, you need to sometimes flexible. You need to be sometimes flexible and reverse that rule is what we've been saying. But even in reversing that rule, make sure you're working with the right kind of person who would appreciate your need.
Someone just put you for nothing.
ただね、それやってみないと分かんないんで、この人ちゃんと分かってくれそうだなと、何か返してくれそうだなっていうのがあれば、とりあえず突っ込んでみないと仕方ないと思うんですね。その中でどれかがピュッとこう持ち上がるんで、そういう感じですね。
However, you will not know in advance, so you need to give each instance a try at least.
Well, yeah. Facts. So I think everyone's getting tired. We are running out of time as well, so we'll go maybe briefly into the last point. And we've talked about this already, but just to lead into closing here, the last point that we want to come back to is, why is it important for musicians to develop a brand or image and how to do that effectively? So essentially we've talked about what can be done for branding and how it can be done, but I think I want to close on why this is important, because maybe many musicians, as I said earlier, might be more concerned with the art, or more concerned, we're just not really thinking about it. Maybe you've had some success and then offers just come in. So why is it important to think about your own brand or image and develop that?
I would say for us, the way that we would look at it is your brand grows with you. if you start something, that brand is the same, like Shalstone, everything, you can't change it once it's there. I mean, it can disappear, but that's normally from what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation. Anyway, sorry. But if you say, if we're online, we have a very positive outlook. Always positive, because you are known, you are known for your brand. So you have to maintain a level of, it's just so important to not become known for something other than the music. You don't want to be, oh, that band that isn't very punctual, isn't very loyal, isn't very, so you know, it's so important to, when you think about it, it's really not all about the music. It's so not, you know, if we said there was 100%, I would say, you know, a good 60% of it's not actually music at all. You get on the stage and you perform the songs, great. But the rest of it is where the real legwork, and it's so important to maintain that, because you don't want to be that band that's known for, or they always reply to the negative comments, and they always, you know, it's something so simple, but it's something that you can get to be known for very quickly.
Here in Japan, in general, Japanese culture, Japanese people are not really very forgiving of mistakes. You screw up once, that's it. And so if you develop a brand, you need to protect it simply for longevity. If you make a mistake, you have to be humble enough to do whatever is necessary to apologize or rectify it, right? So it brings you back up to that level. And then for me personally, I think that in order to, after you've created a brand, you need to protect it. And by that I mean basically just, you know, make sure everyone you work with or people are happy. Everyone is satisfied with the product or the music, the service that you're giving. And just as Sharna said, your brand is not only your music, it's your image, it's the way that you project yourself, it's everything. So I guess in a nutshell, just for me, maintaining that marketing brand is simply how you stay alive.
Sharna, get you to the top.
ブランディングっていうと、まあコモンワークといえば何みたいな感じですよね。
What is branding all about? It's something like when you see this particular mark, you know that it represents something. This is branding, right?
まあその中で、キャッチフレーズとかロゴマーク、シンボルマーク、ネーミング、デザイン、いろいろありますよね。
You know, catchphrases, logos, symbols, designs, things like that.
ジャパニーズタレント、大悟、ウィッシュ。
You know?
Hand gesture.
ウィッシュ。ポージングでもいいと思うんですけど、ちょっと自分で面白いの作ると、ひょっとしたらそこから来るかもわかんない。これは今 YouTube とかインスタとか Twitter という武器があるから。で、僕が今プロデュースしてヒットしてる人っていうのは、さっき言ったお金が動かないんだけど一生懸命頑張る。ただし相手が野球場で歌う権限を持ってる人とか、テレビに出す権限を持ってる人とか、大物に対してそれをやってきたっていうのはあります。
ちゃんと国籍があって。
そう、その人がそれなりのものがあるの分かってて突っ込みます。ホテル何軒も持ってるとか、テレビ局のすごく偉い人だとか、何かある人に対して無償に動くと、向こうはキャパがあるんでいろいろこう与えてくれますっていうところから始まってて、でその結果をインスタとかツイッターとかでどんどん発信していくっていうことだと思うんですね。でこの一種一つあればかなり有名なのかもわからない。これをね、外国の人が イッシュってやったら面白いからみんな見るか分かんない、だからそこが今 YouTube とか Twitter とかを使える部分かなと思うんですね。
This is kind of diverse, but first of all, when he would like the try to be flexible, sometimes do things very principled. He will try to be as sure as possible as to the kind of person that he's working with, whether he's a TV world influencer or someone who has control over hotel events, that kind of person. And if anything turns out successfully, then he will go on to talk about those successes in a good way on SNSs. That's one thing he does. Social media. Another thing he was saying that we were all laughing about was even if it's just a little posing routine like Wish, if a non-Japanese does something like that, which would normally not belong to your own culture, if he does that in Japan here, then that could be seen as catchy, and that could really pull out a success.
今言ったことの例として人のことでもいいんですね。さっきウィッシュ真似して外国人が面白くやればそれは面白かったらみんな見るんですよね。で同じような例なんですけども、あいみょんっていう女性の歌手がいます。今ビッグヒット、日本でトップクラスです。あいみょんで、あいみょんの歌を男の子のロックシンガーが女性キーで歌いました。これ路上でやったんですけども、これをツイッターでアップしました。3日後に90万再生になりました。3日後に。この意外性、あいみょんっていう今最高に流行ってる女の子の歌を男の子が元気でかっこよく歌っちゃった。これに90万再生で、今その子はその後2ヶ月ぐらい経ってるんですけど、iTunes とかSpotify とかでランキング2位か3位入ってます。いきなりインディーズです、この子。それきっかけ、あいみょんの歌を歌って出したんですね。これがきっかけなんです。だから人がやってなくて面白いと思ったら飛びつく可能性は十分にあります。はい、僕が歌を教えてるのです。はい。
This is an episode about one of his singer students. He's an indies artist. What he did was he covered another female artist, a famous one's song, in the same key as the female singer, which is, of course, really high for the guy singer. And he filmed himself doing that on the street. And in 3 days, he got 900,000 playbacks on Twitter. And that's really getting popular, right? And now he is getting his places on things like Spotify, really coming up fast. So this is another instance of what he can do to try to catch people's attention by doing things that others are not doing.
So it's not just doing anything for free, but having a direction for it, having a point. It's because this guy is operating all these hotels, or because there's a big stadium right there that these people are connected to, or a TV show. It has a purpose. It's going somewhere. So that's the larger picture.
I think the last point that I would like to make is something that really ran with me this week. We seen on Facebook, there was a teacher who drew on a blackboard just kind of all of these different, it was the 9 times table. And she put the 9 times table on the board and got the first one completely wrong. I think it was 1 times 9 equals 13 or something like that. And everyone in the class was giggling away and kind of laughing and remarking at the one thing that she got wrong. And she said, I've done this deliberately to make you realise what life can actually be like. It's kind of remembering, it's kind of drawn it in with the brand as well. You are protecting your brand, and the world is a very small place now because of social media. We have things like recommendations on our Facebook, you know, all sorts of kind of comments on YouTube, all of these things. The world is such a small place now, and it's just being mindful of you can do a million things right, and you do that one thing wrong. So it's just looking after the brand. It's just like, you know, just a pointer to why it's so important. Why it's so important. Thank you.
You have to be so careful.
As a final comment, I would simply like to say, don't get lazy. If you,
As hungry as
if
day
you
one.
have a product, you have a brand, you play your music, stay up there. I work with Alex at Entertainment, entertaining requests for musicians. I get so many so many requests, and I reach out to musicians, but they don't have a video, they don't have a live recording of anything, they don't have updated this, they don't have anything. And the internet, all of this technology has gotten them lazy, thinking that they can just go and shoot something live with a hand camera and be able to sit. And I tell them, look, I can't sell you like this. So if you have a product, keep on top of it. Update your bio, update your website, just make sure your product is constantly accurate.
あ、そうや今そのあいみょんっていう女性の歌手の歌を、ロックシンガーが歌ったらいきなりバーンといっちゃったっていう話したんですけど、これまあ例えばですけど、外国のシンガーがバンドで同じあいみょんっていうキーワード今すごいんです。だからあいみょんの曲をアップしたらこれ視聴率いきなりカーン上がるかもわかんない。それと今米津っていう今売れてる日本の人がいるんですけど、その人の歌を外国の方がかっこよく歌うといきなりこれガーンっていく可能性は十分にあるんですね。でこれもある意味ミニチュアですけどブランディングの一つだと思うんですね。あいみょんっていうのを男の子が歌ったらこの人だみたいな、めちゃめちゃかっこいいって。でみんな女性は男の子がかっこいいって言うし、男の子はあいみょんの歌を元気で男が歌うとこんなかっこいいんだって言って憧れてそれを見るしっていう、どんどん膨れ上がっていった結果ね、今すごいことになってるんですね。なんで、なんかこう面白いものを見つけてこうアップしていくっていうのがきっかけだと思うんです。やっぱり流行りが大事です。これもねやっぱりちょっとブランディングだと思うんですよね。自分長期のブランディングも大切ですけど、この子って口で世界一取ってるんですよ。ロックシンガーの男の子、あいみょんの歌でガンといった子は2回世界一取ってる子なんですね。でもあいみょんで売れちゃったみたいなだから一時的なその自分のブランディング、男の子があいみょんといえばもうこの子はみたいな、みんながかっこいいって集まったんですね。これも手じゃないかなと考えますね。はい。口笛ね、アメリカで行われている口笛の世界大会2回1位。あれは歌だ。
Once again, drawing on his episode on a guy singer covering a female singer's song, Aimyon's song, and getting really popular basically overnight. This guy artist had actually been a world's number one whistler. Not just one time, but twice. And yet, what made him really popular was his covering of the female artist's song in the same key that she sings. So the idea is trying to get trying to find something that's in fashion right now and kind of ride on it. maybe another interesting artist that you could try to cover right now, maybe a guy named Yonetsu Kenshi. People know his so it's in fashion. So that's like a small scale instance of branding, but it's still a good example.
So you pay attention, become aware of what's going on, and pay attention, and you can ride that wave. So we've had a lot of really interesting topics come up. I think we all kind of agree with each other, which is encouraging. I think we have just a couple minutes for questions. If anyone has a question for any one of us up here. I think we're all connected as well, so you can certainly contact us later. Any questions for the panel? Yes?
You were talking about sometimes working for free, or maybe working for as well as you can, as well as possible. But the thing is, sometimes you connect with people that you don't want to be connected to, and sometimes that I don't know, it delays your work or something like that. Especially in Latin America, that is very common. I see that in UK or Japan, you have a very like a level that you wanna get sometimes. But sometimes it's difficult to connect with people that it's in the same symphony that you have. So how do you manage sometimes that issue that you are not working with the right person or the right people?
So one question inquiry on that is it your choice to be working with that person, or is it their choice to work with you?
No, it's my choice to work. It's like without knowing, sometimes you don't know. You trust because you trust it.
Sure.
Okay, you trust. Maybe you're very noble, and maybe you're very like well-intentioned, but sometimes things are not going well.
Sure. In that case, you just break it off. In that case, it's better to break it off and start over than to keep in a bad relationship. And it's the same with everything. And just you know,
It's like,
put
hey,
that
we go
aside
life
and try to
situation.
develop another connection in place.
Life choices.
Or try and be one step ahead of them. Try and find the thing that they're looking for and be that person. Don't change, but just create a product that'll make them go, oh, hello. You know, it can be done. It can be done. So if you were saying approaching a festival, create a song about the festival. You know, it's something sort of just off the top of my head, but you can. There is ways and means of getting people's heads turned via. I say persistence because sometimes it's just so hard, and like you say, it's easier sometimes to cut because you don't want to take back steps and kind of be distracted from actually moving forward in other areas as well. But I would say maybe try and play them at their own game and get one step ahead of them and see what it is that they're actually after.
I also see so often, sometimes clients can be so annoying. I've already answered this question, and they're sending me messages, and I'm trying to just relax on my day off, and they're sending me messages with questions that they should have answered before, or that I already answered. And first of all, it's certainly difficult to not stress, but it's so important to always respect yourself and your own time. So if you don't owe that person something, then you have to think about yourself and what's most important. What is important to you? But then I think that goes back to the larger picture too.
My mind is blown that this hasn't died. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. I bet it died. I bet it's gonna die as soon as we end. Over.
なんていうか、ただでもいいから出た方がいい仕事っていうのは、相手も相手もそうですけど、その仕事の次にあるのかなっていうのを読むのも大切なんですけれども、見分ける手段としては、当然名刺、会社、相手の会社、それから、分からなかったら Facebook とかインスタとかあるんで、その人が発見できれば、あ、実はこの人レコード会社の人だったんだとか、あ、この人テレビ局の人だったんだとかあ、この人大手の芸能プロダクションの人だったんだとか分かることも多いんで、僕はまず調査から入ります。それと、例えば、最近ちょっと来た話なんですけど、プラザ大阪っていうホテルがあるんですね、重曹にあります。でここね、お昼落語をやってるんです。で落語のね、ちょっとお昼食べて落語が始まるまでにまずランチやって落語で、この間にね、ロビーで歌いませんかっていう話があるんですね。よかったら、演奏するとか、バイオリン、ピアノ、歌えませんか、これタダなんですよ。で普通タダだったらみんなちょっと嫌だって言うんだけど、でも僕は僕の教え子にいいから進めって僕言ってるんですよね。それはやっぱりそこってね、実はそのプラザ大阪って阪神のグループなんです。いうことはデパートもあれば、ものすごいやっぱり一緒で阪神の甲子園球場もあるんですよね。だからどうつながるかわかんないんですね、調べてみたら。だからプラザホテルの玄関で音響ないんですよ。ただマイクだけあるんだけどみたいな、シールドもつなげないんですね。ギターもあれなんですよ、スピーカーから出せないんですけど、でもそこでねやるとね、必ず広がりあると僕読んでるんですよ。何しろ阪神のグループですし、でそこのでお昼ね、ランチタイムにね来て、落語来て、これセットで5000円とかなんですけど、そんなに来てる人ってちょっとお金持ってる人の奥さんが多いんですよ。じゃあそんな中にどんな旦那がすごいの言うかもわかんないんで、とにかくそういうとこは絶対突っ込んでいる。でよかったらそこでアコースティックなことをやってくれるんだったら、そこつなげますんで、一回紹介して、選ぶのは向こうなんて何とも言えないですけど、よかったらつなぐこともできます。はい。
About knowing the person that you want to or don't want to work with, sometimes it's only a simple matter of checking out the information that's on the name card that you receive from the person. The name card may tell you the company name, and if it doesn't say very much, you can try to look up the person's info on social media like Instagram and Facebook, and it may turn out that the person actually works for a TV company as a director or something, or maybe he belongs to a major production company. And here's another instance where he recommends his students to take the job for free. There's a hotel called Plaza Hotel or Plaza Osaka near Juso, and what they do is they have a lunch plan where you can have a decent lunch followed by rakugo session. But in the meantime, they will also allow an artist to sing or play an instrument at the front of the hotel. But once again, this is for free.
Rakugo is like a comedy performance.
Yes. And he would recommend his singing students this free job to take because, once again, he knows that the hotel is affiliated with Hanshin Railroad Company, which of course owns the famous Hanshin Koshien Stadium. So you'll never know what will lead to what. And even among the customers for the lunch, maybe you can expect that these are rich people who are willing to pay something for lunch followed by rakugo. So among those customers, maybe there will be someone who will give you a job. So definitely this is a take. This is an opportunity that's worth the try. actually, he would even recommend this type of job to any of you who is present.
Oh,
You know me.
デイビッド、いい人にはいい人が集まるの。
そう。
で、いい人にはいい人が集まるの。で、殴る人は殴る人が集まるの。で、物を盗む人は盗む人が集まるの。だから、いい人にはいい人が集まるから、いい人の紹介だったら安心だからやってみたらいいと思う。だから、いい人の紹介っていうことが本当にいいと思う。はい。
Yes.
This is an important message.
Birds of a feather.
Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, good people will gather good ground. Violent people will gather violent horns.
Thieves and robbers gather.
And crabs never let anybody out the bucket.
So yeah, be good.
So I think we're just about out of time. That was a long session, but I think we had a lot of really good discussion. Be good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. And that will conclude KMC, so I think we'll need to hear a word from Duane.
Yeah, I am very happy, able to finally relax, and it takes 10 months to put this event together, so I have to do a final report for this, and I usually spend October and November doing 0 KMC. But again, I thank everyone, KMC staff, Mamiko and Alex, and David and Khalif's there, and Katya's here for the 8th time in Japan, so. And of course, Junior, sorry. I'll let him translate it, right? But again, seriously, thank you for everyone. Mooney, thank you for bringing everybody back. And I look forward to continuing KMC and your continued support. The thing that I ask is go back, take take all the programs you need, give them to friends, other musicians, tell them there's this in Japan. Please check the website. Thank you very much. And final thank you to Lisa. I don't know if she's here. Lisa.